In this video, I wanted to go over how to create a X-shaped crossbar from one side of the bridge to the other. There's been a lot of confusion over that. It's certainly probably the most challenging thing you will do. So I'm hoping this tutorial just makes it a lot easier for you to comprehend or to wrap your head around. Okay, so as you can see in Southeast isometric mode, we have not constructed yet. I'm thinking I would like to put it along here on the slope. So the first thing I'm going to do is put this into top view. Now you might be tempted to work right in here and create a box and put your X's here. But one thing that will happen is because this is raised up and your lines are snapping to the edges, you will end up creating a structure that's on different levels. So if you were to rotate, you'd have some lines up and some lines down and nothing would actually be connected. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is dimension it and make sure you are working within that size when you're working up here. So because it's very difficult to dimension something that is in 3D format, so if I were to click here and pull here, it's hit and miss. This one might be working because just before I made this video, I did put a line there. I might have accidentally left the line there. If this works for you, great. If it doesn't, don't panic. You can always just add a line, dimension your line. Let's see if our luck is on our side. Probably close enough. So let's guess this is 240 millimeters by 40. Okay, so what we're going to do is draw over here a box. It doesn't matter if it's linear or polyline. We're just trying to create a structure here. So we'll start somewhere up here, and this is 240 by 90 by 240 by 90. Okay. And then what we want to do, a lot of you are doing smaller X's as opposed to going right across. So I'm going to do the more complex shape just because that sort of, if you can do this, then you can do the easier version. Grab our line here, get our midpoint, come down, spacebar, spacebar again to reactivate the last command. Okay, and clearly those lines are too thin, so I'm going to use offset and put in a value of 5. And then click in the center and pull it down so that it's actually 10 millimeters in width. And eventually I will delete these center lines. But right now I'm just building all of them out while I have this command selected. Okay, just so you don't get confused, let's pull this out, and this out, and this out, and this out. Okay, now one of the things that you'll notice is that it ends here, but you actually want to run down onto the wood. You've got these two horizontal lines here that you want your popsicle sticks to merge into nicely. You don't want this flat, blunt edge. So to do that, let's elongate this side here. So bring that way. And bring this way. And okay. And now we can extend these lines down. Come up here, do it again. And this just makes it so that you've got a nice edge. along your popsicle sticks. Okay, now before we proceed, we just have to trim out the loose ends that we don't need. So we go to our trim tool. And of course, if you have this down pat at this point, you can just fast forward through this particular part of the video if you're feeling confident. But if you have one little piece remaining, this won't work. So you have to really scrutinize it, zoom in if need be. This has to be one continuous shape. For whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't remove. Okay, now that we've done that, we are going to select everything and type join. Okay, so if there's any points that didn't connect correctly, that will eliminate that issue. Seeing this as separate lines, so I'm just going to select these and join them. Okay, now we can grab the outside and extrude it by 10. Okay, now it's easier to grab the inside and do a subtraction. Okay, so now we have our two X's. Now, in order to tilt it so that it works on this particular angle, you have to find out what that angle might be. The best way to determine the angle of this area is to take your vertical axis and compare it to the slope here as opposed to coming from here. I think the best command for this would be dim angular. Okay, and then we will select this and this and pull it out. So it's 67 degrees. All right, so what we want to do is make a tilt of either 67 degrees, or we will be subtracting 67 from 90 to create the tilt. It's a bit of a back and forth. You just have to try it out and see which one works. Okay, so let's zoom in here. I'm going to go into, get out of custom view because I moved it. Southeast isometric mode. Okay, and then in order to tilt this correctly, you have to bring in the UCS command, UCS, and we'll put it here, here, and here. Okay, so now I want to go to the modeling palette and rotate, 3D rotate or rotate gizmo on a PC. And I'm going to select my object, enter, this one, and put in 67. Yeah, so that is not correct. So let's try to do 23. Let's see what happens with 23-degree slope. Okay, yeah, so it's 90 subtract 67. Okay, and now we should be able to move it into position. So if I use the move tool and I select this and I bring it over here, it should click into place. Okay, so let's rotate that. And everything looks good. Now in this case, because this drawing was used as an example on a previous demonstration, we have these bars here, but if you wanted to have this on the other side, you would simply mirror it. And in fact, if you want, you can mirror it before you even pull it over. So it's really easy to drop it in. But let's see how we do by mirroring it at this point. So I'm just going to go into custom view, turn it to southeast isometric. And you'll notice that I put this design on its own layer. I just called this layer top because if you ever have to move something, you want to be able to turn off the layer that's around it so that you can easily access it if you have to do a modification just on that layer. So that's really important. Okay, so we're going to do UCS here. UCS and bring it here and here and here. Sometimes you just have to adjust the perspective. So why don't we do southwest isometric mode and see where that gets us. Okay, so we will select this and go to mirror. Click here. And we have it in position. Erase source objects? No. Okay, so if I were to rotate this, I believe we're good. It looks like there's a slight adjustment that's required there. That's fairly easy to do. You can go into, you can either zoom in and just move it up slightly, or you can go into your front view here and make an adjustment there as well by just moving it up. But in essence, that is how you would place an X along a slope. The process will be the same for anyone who's trying to place an X on the ends. So I'm just going to delete this so you don't see that anymore. You would create it on a flat plane and then extrude it. And using UCS, you select the X, Y, Z coordinates correctly, and then you do a 3D rotate to make sure it's in the correct position. Select 90 degrees as your angle, and then drag it and put it into position. That's probably the easiest way to do it.